In the last module, I showed you briefly how to grab the X10 driver from the CM19A driver website. In that module, the main interest was getting your lights turning on as quickly as possible. Here I'll take you through getting the driver again, but I'll also show you the modes of operation for the driver. It has a command line mode, which you saw, and also a web server mode. I wanted to make sure to show you the web server mode as well, since the tool author, Andrew Cudden, did make a point to build that in, and it's perfectly functional, albeit not restful. The commands are executed via GET requests with URL query string parameters. The web interface in that tool is basically an extension of the command line semantics, but offered publicly over a configured IP address and port. The aim in this course is to build a RESTful endpoint, however, so we're going to be building on what he did and using his driver in a third way, as a library to include. So first up, I'm going to show you command line mode for how to turn on and off a light. I'm going to make a directory here called CM19A, just so everything is associated with some clean place, and then I'm going to go to the CM19A website, and I'm going to go show you once again how to download this driver. So over here on the right, there's a link to all the driver stuff. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to scroll down here until I find the link. And I'm going to copy this link address for use in the command line tool wget. Now I don't need this window anymore. So I'm going to do a wget, and I'm going to specify the name of the file. That's what that -o parameter is. And then I'm going to tell it to go get that file. And now I've got the file locally. So I'm going to unzip it, and there we have all the different files associated with the driver. With that installed, what I'm going to do is bring on screen a live feed of my light, and I'm going to show you in command line mode what this looks like again. So I'm going to type, I got to type sudo here and then Python, and I'm going to invoke the driver, and I'm going to pass in a house code, room code, and what I want to do, which is turn it on. And you'll see that with a slight delay, the light comes on. And then I'm going to turn it back off. And there you have it. This is command line mode. So let's now take a look at what web mode looks like. I'm going to actually need to edit the file, which I'm going to do in Windows by going to the Raspberry Pi Samba share. I'm going to have to edit the driver file itself because the configuration is actually in the source code file. So I'm going to find this CM19A Python file, and let's see, there it is. And I'm going to open this for editing. I'm going to scroll down near the top of the code is the actual configuration setup. So I'm going to comment out server mode, or excuse me, I'm going to comment out command line mode and enable server mode. And then I'm also going to configure the IP address to match my Raspberry Pi, which is 2.241 here. I'm not going to bother doing anything with the server port. I'll just use the one that's default specified. Oops. So this gives me a chance to show you something about Linux permissions. The problem here is that this is not permissive enough for changing. So I'm going to go in this directory and use the chmod command to basically make this as permissive as humanly possible and do that to everything in the directory. Oops, I need to be admin in order to do that. No IT person would like that. It's extremely permissive, but it'll let us proceed here. So now, as you can see, this file gets saved. I'm going to now start the web server, which is done by invoking Python once again. Oh, I want to be root for that. Except this time there's not going to be any parameters. I'm just going to invoke the driver, and that's going to start the web server. And if all goes well, yep, the web server is started. So now I'm going to bring over a browser window, and I'm going to show you what kind of query I'm going to have to hit this with, what kind of GET request. So I'm going to invoke the named Raspberry Pi here, Raspberry Pi, and then specify that I want port 8008. And now it's time for the URL query string parameters. So I'm going to want house to be A, I'm going to want unit to be 1, and the command I'm going to specify on. And before I enter this, I'm going to go get my live screen capture once again of the lamp. So let's see what that looks like turning on. We'll hit enter here. And there goes the light. Good news. So now let's turn that back off, and we'll call it a day on web mode and the modes of the driver.